I want to talk about the Nemo Hornet 2P. So it's a nice breezy day. I got some tents up, doing a little cleaning on them, and I've been meaning to do a review on the Nemo Hornet 2P. It's the tent I used on my recent AT through hike attempt, and essentially I've been using it for the last year, or rather I've been using the Hornet line for the last year. About a year ago I got a one-person version, liked it, decided to upgrade to the 2P, and have basically about 85% of the last year I've been using this Hornet 2P. So I'd like to talk about a couple things that I like about it, as well as a couple things I don't like about it. And to save you from having to watch to the end of the video, I will not be using this tent anymore, and I'll kind of go over the reasons why. Some of the basic specs: the packaged weight is 2 pounds 5 ounces, and the minimum trail weight, or what Nemo just says, the minimum weight, is 2 pounds even. Now, according to Nemo, the minimum weight is pole, fly, and tent body, and they also add in it's the minimum amount you need to have a waterproof shelter. Notice they don't say stakes or guy lines or anything like that. Now I'm going to actually show you what the minimum trail weight looks like, and then you can determine if that meets your needs for a waterproof shelter. Some of the other specs are the length is 85 inches long, 51 inches width at the head by 43 inches at the foot. And for the most part, it feels pretty good. I'm 6'2", and I fit in there no problem. You got to center your body and your tent pad and your sleeping pad just right without touching the head or the foot. All right, let's take a look at the tent itself. I'm looking at the tent from the foot end, going back to the head and the back. One of the things I really liked about this tent was the dual vestibule. I mean, it is a two-person tent, 2 access points from either side, and it is a side entry tent. That was real critical for me. I prefer side entry tents. I'm 6'2", I'm husky, and the knees aren't like what they used to be. A side entry tent to me is a must-have on my tent requirement list. And it just really made getting in and out much more enjoyable. I'm looking at the back end now, or the head end, and here's the love-hate relationship with this tent. On a really breezy day like today, this back end design is great because the fly doesn't come all the way down, which allows for ventilation to go up underneath the rain fly and get into the inside of the tent. The problem is on rainy days, this body now is a single wall tent and will wet through. And it's only a 1200 millimeter hydrostatic head. If I can find it, I'm going to link a short video that talks about hydrostatic head, so you can understand when somebody says a 1200 millimeter or a 3000 millimeter hydrostatic head, and what that means to the waterproofness of a tent. So anyways, long story short, great on breezy, dry days, plenty of ventilation, even when your sides are staked all the way down, because it can get up underneath the fly. Rainy days, you don't get full coverage, and that is a single wall tent, and it begins to wet through. Okay, this is what the minimum trail weight looks like. Essentially, I pulled all the stakes out, so what's left is the fly, body, and tent poles. On a breezy day, this is what's going to happen. Now, obviously, if you're sleeping at night, your weight will keep it down. But does that really look like it's going to provide waterproof protection? I mean, you could use sticks in the woods and stones and things like that. This is one of the issues I have with companies like Nemo and Big Agnes. When they lure people in with their weights, it's not a practical weight. So essentially what I do, and you can use this trick as well, I look at the packaged weight, and then I subtract 2 ounces, and then that'll give me a more realistic weight of what I'll be carrying on the trail. The reason why I subtract 2 ounces is that's generally the difference I can get when I swap out the stakes, the packaged stakes for my carbon core stakes, and I can usually save about 2 ounces, and then that'll give me a realistic trail weight. So the packaged weight is 2 pounds 5 ounces. the minimum weight for this Hornet is 2 pounds. I know I need stakes. I can swap out the factory stakes for my carbon cores. My package, or my trail weight, yeah, look at that, is now going to be 2 pounds 3 ounces. All right, let me stake this back out. I'm gonna take the fly off and we'll go on the inside. All right, so the fly's off, and we're looking at it from the head front, or I'm sorry, from the foot end. And as you can see, you know, they call this a 2P. This is really more of a luxurious 1+, you know, person tent. And so I'm gonna walk around here. Now here's one design flaw that would be awesome if they changed. If you look at it from this angle, you've got some slope there at the foot end. So this is where you run the risk of your bag touching the fly, and if it's a humid day, you get some condensation. It would be awesome if they moved that hook down to right there, and then put another one right there, and then just space that one up, and then that would bring everything out a little bit, which is similar to what Big Agnes did with their HV line. And again, same thing here. They could add another hook here. Now I have 4 stakes all down. If you want to achieve maximum space area for this tent, you really need to stake it all out. You definitely have to stake out the foot end. They call this a semi-freestanding tent. As you can see when I had the stakes out, it definitely is not fully freestanding. Now coming around here, there is a little tie out, or I'm sorry, a clip, and got a little mitten hook here. And this clips to the inside of the fly. What I recommend is taking this and tightening it up and shortening it, and then it'll pull out a little bit more. I ended up buying the footprint for it, and I'm somebody that has never had a need for a footprint, generally because tents are well constructed and you don't get wet through. This floor is a 1500 millimeter hydrostatic head, and it wet through pretty much every time it rained. So I was at the NOC and ended up buying the footprint. And the other gripe that comes along is a lot of tents make what they call a fast fly compatible footprint, to where the footprint will connect directly to the poles, and then you can set up your fly without your inner. This works great in rainy situations, and so you can set up your tent fly without getting your inside wet. Well, Nemo doesn't do that. And basically what they do is, here is, let's see if I can, what Nemo does is they have their footprint, and instead of it connecting to the poles, it connects. I don't know if you can see it. It basically just, you clip it onto here and then it slides up. So you're unable to do the fast fly pitch in rain. So essentially, if you're hiking and it rains, you're going to be setting your body up first and then your fly in the rain. And that was kind of the final straw, where I was just like, this tent sucks if you're even going to be close to any rain. And on an AT through hike, you know, it's going to rain and you're going to have to deal with it. So here's my final wrap up. If you're a weekend hiker or you're planning a section and you have a chance to plan it around decent weather, this is a great tent. If you're looking to use this tent for a through hike where weather is unpredictable, I would suggest looking elsewhere. Again, this is just my opinion, but this is my opinion based on a year of use, along with multiple days of rainy weather. And quite frankly, it's unacceptable to have a floor and head wall wet through. Sorry, Nemo, but you know, that's the real world use out of it. Now, here's one last thing to keep in mind. everything is subjective, and including this review. This is just based on my opinion and my experiences. There are other people out there that I've met that have used this tent that absolutely rave about it. So again, everybody's experience is going to be different. This is just based on mine with real-world application in the backcountry, in rain. And I know some people might say in the comment section, well, you just have to know how to pick your site. And very true. Site selection is extremely important. There are times, however, when you're on a long distance hike, you can't just have the perfect site selection, and sometimes you got to make do with what you make do. That's where how well the tent really comes into play and shines. So again, this was the Nemo Hornet 2P. I'm going to go back to my tarp tent moment DW. And I almost feel like cheating on an old girlfriend. I should have never left it, but sometimes you got to venture out, try new things before you realize just how much you appreciate some of your other tents. As a matter of fact, my tarp tent moment DW video is the very first video I ever posted on YouTube. It's 4 years old. It's down in the bottom, and it's a great tent. Still have it, and it's actually going to be my go-to tent for the rest of this year and for the foreseeable future. Thanks for watching, and leave any comments and questions below.